Let's go now to Bob. He's joining us on the phone from Edmonton. Hello, Bob.
Hey, how's it going this afternoon?
Good, thank you. What are your thoughts about EI?
I agree with the previous caller there, but I was not aware that there was a difference in weeks from province to province, and that appears to me kind of Orwellian when everybody's equal. Some are more equal than others. That hardly seems fair, and it's of no concern whether the job market or however it is reflected. We should all be equal.
It's an interesting point you're making, Bob. And Ken, there's a bit of history, of course, to the employment insurance program in this country, obviously. I mean, it grew up over the course of many years, adapting to the very, different way in which people work in this country. Perhaps you could sort of explain a little bit about that.
I think I'm not absolutely sure. I'm sure there's listeners out there that know an awful lot more about it than I do, so I could stand corrected. But it was designed a lot for seasonal workers and to accommodate them in the Maritimes. Now we have it. We're all in this problem together. The whole country is in trouble, and we're all equal.
And so do you think? So you actually believe, Ken, that the government is actually going to capitulate to the opposition parties on this, and you think we will have a uniform program?
I think we will develop a uniform program. This has evolved and been developed incrementally over time. It's been used for political purposes in the past and will be used for political purposes again. But I think with this recession is so general and so widespread that I think the changing consciousness now is a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian, and an unemployed Canadian is somebody who has the same problem no matter where you live in this country. And the prospects of getting work do not depend on the unemployment rate in your area. It depends on the skill sets you have and the changes that are going in your marketplace. The old model presumes that tomorrow will just be a reflection of yesterday. Well, we're going through some very, very significant transformational changes here, and I think that causes us to look at everybody who is in dire straits like this equally, not on a regional basis.
Bob, what are your thoughts? Would you be willing to have an election to make the program uniform?
To make it more uniform?
Yes.
I don't think it's worth an election, no. Sorry, I'm here.
Okay.
Let me get out of it.
No problem.
There we go. No, I would say not. And the thing is, I mean, we all have to be equal. And why would we spend, what was it, $350 million?
That's what it costs to have a federal election. That's right.
I mean, to quote John Cleese, that's bloody loony.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts, Bob.
And John Cleese is one of our most insightful political analysts on the planet, too.
I would agree with that. And you know what's interesting, though, is that here's Bob saying he doesn't want an election, yet he does want uniformity. So I don't know what they're going to do. If you haven't joined our conversation yet, we do have a couple of lines open, 1-866-468-4422. We'll go now to Wetaskiwin. Another fellow named Bob joins us on the line. Hi, Bob.
Hi. The Bobs are just coincidental, I believe. We're not
I think so.
The same guy calling.
You're not uniform Bobs across the country.
That's right. But I do agree with the uniformity in EI rates and policies across Canada as long as we have employment insurance. And I would be prepared to force a vote on this issue simply because the people who need EI are the most needy people we have in the country. And if government can't look after the most needy, why should we always look after the most greedy? And so my view is that even in prosperous Alberta, I know lots of people who are losing hours at work, losing their jobs, losing their incomes, and are in bad shape. And a poor person here is no different than a poor person in PEI or Victoria or Regina. It doesn't matter.
Your thoughts, Ken?
Well, and the other thing about it is, too, the cost of living here is an awful lot higher than it is in some places as well. So you have to wait longer, get less, and you paid the same into it as everybody else did.
Exactly. You see, Ken, that's why I support the National Guaranteed Income, and based on a poverty level from the market basket of goods, which takes into account shelter costs, food costs, utility costs. And if you issue that poverty level income based on the area of Canada where you live, one universal program to address poverty issues. If you're under the poverty level, we bring you up to it. We still need some emergency welfare program to handle people in the short term because you base an annual guaranteed annual income based on last year's net income.
Okay.
But would you see that, Bob, as an entitlement as a result of citizenship? You're talking about a guaranteed annual income?
That's right, because we live in the 21st century in a modern country that is supposed to be humane, supposed to be progressive in its points of view. And look at all the welfare we give to corporations with royalty breaks that you mentioned here in Alberta for the drillers, and breaks for companies that are going bankrupt, but we're still going to back them even though the likelihood of them surviving isn't good. Well, my view is if you want income to circulate through society, you give it to the people who are in low, middle, and low-income areas, and that money goes immediately into the economy and produces jobs.
Thanks for the call today, Bob. Sorry?
What's that?
I was just thanking you for your call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
thank you for having me on the line. I appreciate that.
Great to have your insights. Let's go now to Jeff, who's on the line in Calgary. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, I may have a different perspective here than some of the others. I think a uniform EI across the country is an absolutely ludicrous idea.
Why?
We've got different minimum wages in different regions of the country. We're a giant country. We're not Belgium.
You're suggesting that the country itself is not uniform, so why should we have a uniform program to address the problems?
Essentially what the Liberals are saying and doing is what got them largely kicked out of office, and that is they want a strong, centralized government economy, and it doesn't work. The people of Alberta, the realities of Alberta are completely different than the realities of Atlantic Canada or of Manitoba. BC, someone who's working in fisheries in BC has got a completely different economic reality that they have to deal with than someone who's in the north. The provinces and the territories need more power to make sure that their region is run properly and not less. You know, the people of Alberta have a lot in common with the people of Quebec, and that is we understand our region better than Ottawa does, and our main goal with respect to the feds is to leave us alone.
What do you think about... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
No, go.
I was just going to hear what Ken had to say in response.
I agree with Jeff philosophically. I just don't think that that's an argument for not having universal benefits across the country. Is that we are different regionally, but when you're unemployed, you're unemployed. And I think that if you pay into it on an equal basis in the same formula, then why aren't you having access to it in the same formula? I'm very sympathetic. This is not an issue of central control of the country. This is an issue of individual citizens having a right to have access to this kind of a program no matter where you live in the country. And if you pay into it equally, why don't you get an equal benefit out of it?